Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Evmos Governance Council meeting. We'll give you a few minutes here and wait for people to trickle in.
We apologize for not having elevator music playing in the background. Also, I'm feeling a bit under the weather, so our co-hosts will um lead this meeting. So, yeah, letting you guys know.
Let's give it like another minute or so, and then we'll get started. I think we should get started.
All right. Do you want me to kick it off?
Sure.
All right. So a few news things over the last couple weeks. So this is switched to a bi-weekly schedule, so we'll have it every other Thursday at this time. Um, Dora Hacks, they're in the judging period now. I believe it's about 3 more days or so for the judging, and then June 26th, there should be the grand finale. You can see a link in the chat here, or link in the comments for all of these things we're talking about to follow along further. So there's that. Tashi has just recently opened up their Genesis pools and will soon be doing their token sale token launch. So you can find them at Finance, Tashi.finance. Bounce Finance, they're soon integrating with Evmos, and they do decentralized auctions. They've been around for 2 or 3 years now. They do different DeFi and NFT auctions, and I believe it's all non-custodial, so you hold on to it the whole time. That should be an interesting thing for Evmos DeFi. Inferno incentives round 2 have went out. With Forge, and that's helped to increase TVL across the chain. And along with that, that's with Revert. But soon here we can see Steer Protocol, who will be with us today. You'll be able to manage your LP positions on Forge with Steer. So we'll hear more about that. Snapshot. Snapshot also is now supporting Evmos. That is, if you're familiar with Ethereum DAOs, it's used a lot for off-chain voting over there with DAOs, DeFi protocols, different NFT communities. Um, so that gives a lot of power to the community so that organizations can easily be formed and people's voices can be heard. So that's kind of it for the news. Um, do we want to bring Steer up right away or talk about some of the recent governance discussions?
Um, yeah, I think it makes sense here to give the floor to Steer if you want to invite them to speak, um, and then we can go into some of the active Commonwealth discussions. But I want to make sure we give enough time for Steer to introduce themselves and let the community know kind of what they have.
Hey guys, great to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Derek Brewer. I'm CEO and founder of Steer Protocol. We're an off-chain compute platform, so we do a bunch of different things here. But one of the most exciting things right now is that we are live with automated market making for Forge, and we've worked out about 10 strategies that are currently live right now, and working to also publicize a little bit more about the protocol and also hopefully boot up some incentives along with it. So exciting to talk to the community, see what the kind of vibe is there. We also are an off-chain compute platform, so we provide the way for anyone to automate on-chain execution based on off-chain data. And that's really, really powerful if you need to build an Oracle or if you're trying to do compounding interest or some other kind of cool DeFi Legos. So it'll be exciting to bring both the LP management solutions, but also the Keeper network to the utmost world.
Yeah, it's super cool and super exciting. Uh, can you give a basic explanation to the community about how your LP position strategies work for those who aren't kind of familiar um,
I love to.
with the sort of
Yeah, so basically it's right now when you LP into a concentrated liquidity AMM, there's an issue of if the price moves, are you going to suffer impermanent loss or is it going to go out of bounds and then potentially you'll have some realized losses and stuff like that. So it's really important to actually have active liquidity. And even from like an AMM or on-chain liquidity perspective, having active liquidity deepens liquidity pools. If it deepens liquidity pools, there's more like trades that happen. If there's more trades, there's more economics that can go into play around the chain. So it's really, really important to have this kind of infrastructure on concentrated liquidity. So it's exciting that we can bring it here. We started out a couple years ago with an original investment actually by Sushi Swap, which we actually do concentrated liquidity market making for as well. But through that, we've been able to build the first, fully open, develop your own strategy or use one that's on the marketplace platform that allows people to create their own strategies in about 20 different programming languages. So we don't make you learn anything new. And you can list them on the marketplace, and all of the developers get a 5% performance fee back to them for creating the algorithms, and anyone can now clone and fork those strategies for any token pair out there. So it's hopefully going to be a huge marketplace for LPs to come once it grows a little bit more. But really excited there. We also have one of the first solutions for multi position liquidity, which basically means breaking up liquidity into small bites. And then from there, curving that liquidity around price ranges. And that can actually really increase increase like wrap state derivatives and like kind assets, as well as like volatile assets for like price support or maybe if you're trying to do like trailing stop losses and buy orders. So a lot of flexibility within our platform, and but that's a little bit how it works.
gotcha. So have you guys done, and working to support Evmos, have you done any back testing with some of the current, highest TVL pools? And
Yeah.
have you seen any results? And like,
Yeah,
have you
major.
seen any particular pools that would really benefit from utilizing Steer?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So we actually run a massive amount of back tests so far against a lot of the forge pools. So we have about 9 strategies that are on the marketplace right now that you can pick off and run actually locally right now, or even in your browser to see what it would look like. So anyone can back test, which is really, really cool. And there's a UI, so you don't have to know how to be like technical or anything. But one of the top pools actually has been USDC STFMOS. That's up about, I think, 25% APR, which has been great. There's also some STFMOS SD Atom, which is about 11% APR, which is awesome to see. There's another USDC STFMOS, which is 17% APR. I think it just rebalanced not too long ago. And then we have some more low ends, but still pretty good APRs, about 2.4% on STFMOS, WFMOS. So we've pretty interesting depth. But it's been interesting to see the most active pairs and where the liquidity is. It's kind of like centralized right now, and hopefully we can broaden the liquidity across all the token pairs eventually.
And keep in mind that these back tested numbers are not incentivized at all. So
Yeah.
so
These
it might
are
sound
these are numbers that are live. So we've had pools running for just a couple days on the Forge uh, protocol. So if you go to app.steer.finance, you can actually find them today. But they're actually the APRs that are coming off the pools right now for the past 2 or 3 4 days. So
Gotcha.
it's interesting to see
Um,
them also working live as well as back tested.
Absolutely. So you had mentioned incentives. how would community decide to incentivize some forged liquidity pools on Steer? How would that work? And what's the basic operation of how they would be distributed?
Yeah, yeah. So it's really up to the community how it happened, or like how, what pools are incentivized. But basically, what we have is a platform that allows you to say, okay, we're going to take X reward token. So that could be the Evmos token or the Force token, etc. And then say, okay, we're going to do 100 a day, and people can go in and try and get the 100 and deposit in. The APRs will hopefully balance out. Um, and that can be actually applied really, really like flexibly. So let's say you have one strategy running, you can actually incentivize that with multiple different reward tokens, which is really cool. And you can also set up multiple programs that happen, one after another, or you can start increasing rewards during the. So it's really flexible, but it basically allows for liquidity to hopefully be incentivized over to certain pools to help with trading volume and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, I think that's super cool. It's super interesting. I think, at least to my understanding, it's kind of a complement to Revert, where it offers Steer offers a solution for those who maybe don't want to be as active managing their liquidity, or maybe they you know they are more comfortable with a predetermined strategy in terms of like risking and permanent loss.
Yep.
So what would you say like is the main difference between how Steer operate compared to Revert, and the reasons why someone would want to go to one or the other? Because really, it's not like a competition situation. It's
No,
more of
no,
a.
no, definitely not. Yeah, yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah,
it's
I'd love to hear
it's
you.
it's it's really how you want to manage kind of like your liquidity. Some people like to set positions like really wide, right, and just soak up. Maybe they think it's going to be a ranging market and something like that. And I think that's where Rebirth succeeds, and also their analytics are fantastic, so you can't really beat that. But Steer's a little bit different. We do active management. So instead of going into your position and remodifying the ranges, you can basically take a strategy that's either already running and deposit into it, which is pretty effortless, or create your own. And it's pretty easy. But the reason you'd want active management is basically it helps one drive better APRs. So we have algorithms that are running, with historical data and trying to analyze, what should happen next. And then the second thing is that, it helps out with your impermanent losses and hopefully, deviate away from getting any realized losses if, let's say, the price goes out of bounds. By having like, back tested results and stuff like that, you can work off of, it's hopefully going to drive a better ecosystem for the LPs so that there's not as much losses, with these markets when you have like more like manually managed. No one wants to manually manage their liquidity, right? It should be a seamless experience to LP into a pool, and that's what Steer Protocol provides.
So I think
Yeah.
I read on your documents that you guys have node runners. Can you go more into detail on how to become a node runner and
Oh, sure.
what the benefits are?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So node runners basically are the managers. So what you can do is you can actually run a manager, which allows. So there's two ways you can basically automate into on our platform. You can use a hosted node, which is basically the Steer nodes that I run today. You can also run your own mm, multi-party compute if you'd like. So you can run multiple different nodes and have consensus off chain and then go on chain and stuff like that. And then you can run just a single manager. And a single manager instance is really where you want to take, not as much time to get on chain. You're looking for speed. At the same time, you're giving up a little bit on terms of security. One thing that our platform does is we make sure that all the data in our system and all the execution is fully deterministic. If that doesn't happen, then nothing basically will execute for that job. And so that allows for us to maintain integrity while we go on chain. And you get that out of both the hosting service as well as if you were going to run a multi node setup yourself. But The node is not currently publicly available, but we could open source the code pretty much whenever we'd like. It's good to go.
That's really cool. And of course, if anybody in the audience has a question or something to add to this conversation or direct it towards Steer, feel free to raise your hand. Um, I'm personally pretty excited for this because it seems like it's a really good fit into um, Evmos and what Forge and like the community kind of needs in terms of um, continually building liquidity and developing and advancing in that regard. And I'm super excited to have you guys in the ecosystem, and I know there's going to be a lot more coming, and um, as you kind of get more into the community, we'll definitely hear more from you.
Yeah. What one exciting thing that the listeners might be interested in that is coming up in the near term would be that we are working on a swap engine as well, that works on top of all the V3 providers that we support, which would mean that you could do like social trading strategies and stuff like that, which I think would be also pretty interesting from just a holder perspective.
Is there any other things on your roadmap in the near term that you'd like to mention?
We have a couple other things, but I don't know if I should like fully go into them just because they're still a lot in the
Sure.
development phases. But a lot of them are is more like basically broadening ourselves into maybe perpetuals as well. We do a lot good market making, but also getting into other trading venues, maybe lending platforms. We have looked at Uniswap before because that's obviously interesting. Who hasn't, right? And trying to see what the play might be for an off-chain compute. I wonder if these are as needed with V4, so we'll see.
Well, cool. I think we have about like 10 minutes left here in the call. So we'll go ahead and move on to um, the next topic. But thanks again for joining and introing yourselves to the community. And like I had just said, there will be a lot more coming um, discussions and different things for the community to kind of get more familiar with Steer and Steer to get more familiar with the Evmos community.
Yep. Thank you again for having me.
No problem. Um, So I think next up on the agenda is to discuss open Commonwealth discussion. So, Jeremy, if you want to lead off, I'm going to pull up Commonwealth myself.
Yeah, going from oldest to newest, I suppose. We have, I believe we have three different discussions that have happened in the last couple weeks. And one of them was about Prop 92 releasing the Milestone 2 funding to continue development. That was discussion with Metatank, where they were hoping to see the release of Milestone 2 funds um, before they completed the work. There was discussion on Commonwealth, and then also on the governance chat in Discord, where they decided not to continue with their project as they couldn't get paid up front for it. It was a whole discussion about what milestone funding is, what it means, and how it works. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like we will be seeing the Metatank project anymore. Um, and then Neo Kingdom, with them, they made a post about their issues registering their ERC20 token as an IBC coin. They're just discussing some of their challenges with it. But I believe they've been in talks now with Kepler and everyone that they needed to. It wasn't mentioned in the Commonwealth post, but I believe on other channels it was discussed and they're working out their issues. But they were the first, I believe, of the ERC20 tokens to convert to an IBC asset. So they had some unique challenges there. And then we have Tashi, where there's participation in Genesis pools on Tashi, and the opportunity for Evmos. Um,
Can I
so
provide
that,
quick
yeah,
insight? Yeah, so I think there's a lot of miscommunication from the start. We do plan to have a call with them in the very near future to, I guess, get more clarity on what exact support that they would need from us. But as a DAO, you know, I don't think it's right for us to be participating in, whether token raises, whether it's an IDO or KYC, um, for obvious reasons. Um, yeah, but besides that, we have nothing but love for them and just want to see them succeed. And yeah, if you guys like Tashi, you guys should definitely consider.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that I think sometimes teams coming from other chains where they might not have the same type of governance that we have in Evmos or in the Cosmos ecosystem in general too. There might be a few like misunderstandings or things that need to be clarified, and I think that that's where some of that came from. Um, but yeah, they were requesting a deposit of 5 million Evmos from the community pool to be put into their Genesis pool, which and the idea was a like an alignment between their platform and the Evmos community, as we'd get Tashi's governance token in return. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, where the DAO itself might not be the one to participate in it. Um, but yeah, there were a few other things like they hadn't open sourced yet, but I believe they were in the middle of doing that, and that was going to be available in a few days here, where we'll be able to see their verified contracts on eScan, so everybody can take a look at that. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I think
and
it's interesting. Like, there's a lot of advantages to doing this, which have been brought up in the Commonwealth. There's been some criticisms as well. So, I think there's some stuff needs to be ironed out, and um, alignment, and get some feedback from the community to maybe make some changes to the proposal. Um, but yeah, I think it's interesting. There's some good things there, some bad things. So, um, at least in my opinion. But excited to kind of continue that discussion, and definitely invite everyone here to get in there, because Tashi is a pretty big thing for Evmos DeFi. Um, you know, so I think this is kind of the first governance discussion around Tashi. So I definitely recommend everyone get acquainted and um, join in on those talks.
yeah, and I think we'll see different protocols integrating and building on top of them, kind of like steer and revert with Forge. And yeah, it's gonna be a great opportunity. Hopefully, hopefully it all succeeds as it's hoped, and the community gets feedback and a discussion with Tashi to see if something can be mutually beneficial with their proposal. But
Absolutely.
yeah, and
I'm
then
going to use the guess the next couple minutes to give an update on Ford.
okay.
Um, and then maybe a couple minutes open discussion for anyone who wants to jump on stage. Um, uh, but yeah, like, Forge, basically what's going on right now in terms of updates is the Orbital Apes team submitted a grant request to Encode for updates to Forge that was denied um, due to them already having an existing grant from the first round. I think we talked about this previously. Um, so that's unfortunate, but I think the plans is to take that proposal to the Evmos community and for a community pool request. Um, So we should be seeing more from that soon. Um, for that, I know the Orbital Apes team wants to deliver upon the Kepler integration, which is the last remaining milestone from the original funding proposal. So I know that is something that is in the works currently, and hopefully that is going to be delivered sooner rather than later. And after that domino falls will be another proposal for further UI and UX upgrades. So, uh, like everybody else, I'm super excited and anxious to get Kepler support and Evmos and on Forge. All right, we'll use the last couple minutes to
Hey,
open
Phil.
questions.
It's been a while. I've been Phil.
How's it going?
Yeah, that wasn't expected. Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, how you guys doing? Been a long time.
Really good. How are you?
Yeah, you guys good? I mean, really? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no point hiding. It's really not really a good moment, I think, for Evmos. We're curious to see what's ahead, if there's really something to come by. But I mean, truth is, the reality is that I told you so a long time ago that there was necessary actions to avoid the death spiral, which we're in now. So I don't know. Do you guys have details on this tokenomic stuff? I mean, that's really what I think is the most important part now. The rest was already known. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
It has been made
tokenomic.
public, but there's not that many details surrounding this thing.
Right. So the tokenomics was, conceived way before, Evmos governance work stream, before mainnet launched. So it's not really something that we really had a say in.
I think you might be referring to, and Phil, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the tokenomics date that's coming.
Yeah, that's it. Because we've had quite a lot of, or at least some details around the rest of the stuff that were already known, the licensing, and things like that. Where I was surprised because everything was kind of already expected. This tokenomics, we knew there was somehow discussions around that, but not had that many details around it precisely. And now that it seems to be down the pipelines, I can't see any tracks of the discussions. I don't even know what's going to be in it. And the early kind of public discussions around that made by the teams are like very vague. So I don't even know what the heck is in it. So do you guys eventually know a bit of it?
We don't, the governance work stream doesn't have any additional information than what's been, sent publicly from the core team. So don't really have much to add to that. But we're as interested as you are to seeing more info, and it sounds like it's coming imminently with like this Evmos 2.0 talk. So,
Well, to be honest, Kilo is in the audience. Kilo, feel free to hop on stage if you want to address some of his concerns.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's not really concern. It's just to say, well, helping projects in whatever, doing the best they can is kind of my job. And well, I warned you guys several times, so many times, to tell you this was going to be the path if no changes were made. And yet here we are now, almost a year later, and still in the same path of a death spiral. It's just incredible to see that. Well, I haven't seen such a big project like that so mismanaged. This is just incredible. I mean, I've offered the help for an entire year and no one has even opened the door. It's just absolutely incredible. I just wonder how far this thing is going to go now. I mean, I'm like a tokenomic specialist. I've been offering services. No one has been consulted. This thing is going to go out without even proper discussion. I don't know what the fuck is in it. It's just, gosh, incredible.
I think the best way would be for you to reach out to the core team, because, obviously they're going to be the ones redesigning the tokenomics and then proposing it to the community. Yeah, so I encourage you to reach out to the core team because as governance, tokenomics isn't in our title, I guess. So it's kind of out of our scope at the moment.
It's like
Oh yeah, my
it's
bad.
John.
I kind of forgot this was the governance meeting council. Sorry about that.
It's like
Kind of.
joined the stage. So let's give him an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if we can get someone to address this issue, even though this isn't the proper area to discuss that, I'm sorry. I just thought this was.
No, I think it's a very valid concern, and yeah, something that we should all kind of discuss together.
Yeah, so, I can jump in and say a handful of things. Unfortunately, I won't be able to give you all the information you want today. And my view isn't quite as, bearish as an outlook as yours, but I did just want to kind of touch in on things and say that internally, the design is stuff that has been thought about and worked on pretty consistently here. And it's still stuff that we need to figure out framing for in that public discussion and get everything and make sure that everything aligns, future forward, because we don't want a snap reaction. Oh, we need to change this now. We want to be future forward thinking, expansionary, able to meet new tasks in the future. And I think that was, I believe Fede talked briefly about this, that when the original tokenomics for Evmos were designed, the entire ecosystem, the entire financial market, the entire outlook was so much different that at the time, the tokenomics made sense considering the conditions. Those conditions change, and now the tokenomics obviously are being looked at. It needs to change. However, instead of trying to figure out how to align with current conditions and then have another problem way off in the future, it's more of trying to figure out how to get malleable tokenomics that can help adapt over time as conditions change instead of, hard static settings. And that's a much more difficult task than it would appear.
Yeah. I mean, what you said is pretty good. On that front, that's exactly what I was worried about, that another time, another management mistake would be made by having a few people gathered around the room, thinking about these things and kind of making the Adam 2.0 mistake over again. That's to say, we know better than anyone else, and here is our conclusion. You guys vote for it. That's really what it sounded like. Like, you're going to propose a whole thing, and we're going to say yes or no, which is very dangerous to us to do. Once again, the community has to be involved in the process before even considering putting out the vote. And that's really where I was worried, because I haven't seen any area in which this discussions were taking place. I'd like to be part of it, to be honest. Well, even though this chain seems to be dead and like an empty mall, I hopefully say, well, eventually when so brighter times will show up, people will forget about the inner problems this chain had, and hopefully we'll be able to turn out the page and go for some eventually more prosperous future for the chain. Because of course, for now, bear market, absolutely no one is there, and everybody has left Evmos. No one believes in it anymore. So the trust has been broken. And of course, when you break trust with the community, it's very hard to eventually try to create those bonds again. Though, like I said, it's the conclusion to so many mistakes made down the line. That doesn't mean there is no chance for a bright future. It just means the chances are so narrow now that just a single mistake is putting those odds divided by 2. And even if there's 0.5% of a chance for this to succeed, it's still not 0. So I might sound pessimistic, but I'm not. That's also the reason why over the years, or over the month, despite this death spiral being in, despite the fact that I warned you and told you not to do this or that, and you've gone straight up ahead with this, it's very painful for me as well to see that I could have helped, but no one ever give me the chance to help. That's really crazy shit. But still, I mean, now's the time when no one is there. I mean, we're 14 people in this call. I remember back in the days we were more than 100. So it's really the most appropriate time to actually start shifting these odds potentially in a favorable future. And in order to do this, well, I hope you or anyone who has the opportunity to get to talk to this core team, which I still say is the number one issue. There is true, absolutely deep management error in this project, and these still need to be figured out. So until we get that one out, before hopefully the next bull market comes in, we need to solve these issues before some external eyes will look into it. Because for now, let's be honest, for anybody who's just joining Cosmos right now and doesn't know anything about the past of Evmos, they know something goes wrong. So it's really the way it is. I think if there's one chance to eventually shine bright again, it's really revamping that project out of its ashes. Because of course, and you mentioned that truly, the tokenomics isn't doing right because the distribution event has been absolutely messy, and therefore the token distribution isn't reliant to the tokenomics that has been aligned with it. And it should have been reviewed, to be honest, very, very much long time ago. It's really way too late to think about it, but it's never too late. So let's open up that discussion, guys. And I hope this will be the case. So just let me know where to go. I feel like I said that dozens of times already. I'm like really in here, ready to help. Yet no one's opening that door. It's just great.
My personal advice would be to get all your thoughts down on like a document and all the pointers on like what you think, could steer the ship in a better direction. You can, speak on a Twitter space all you want, but in the end, you won't be able to prove yourself unless you have all your thoughts down, like in a document where, people can read it and try to understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
it is not really that way. Okay, I'm not that much of a writer. I mean, anyway, I don't have time for this. It's really, I'm going to go easy, okay? We're not that many people having these discussions. I think we can definitely handle it at a human level. We don't have to write 100 pages long things that no one cares about. Let's just try to be briefly honest for a second in here, okay? It doesn't take that long.
Let me interrupt here. You definitely have a lot of good points, and a lot of your criticism is definitely warranted. But let's give Kilo the opportunity to interject and add anything that he wants to add, since he does, represent Evmos. Otherwise we're kind of beating a dead horse here on a soapbox. So Kilo, feel free to jump in if you'd like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I do totally understand the concern, and I do see valid points being raised. Again, I'm not as alarmist over it. I think overall, there are changes that need to be made, and that's why the core team is taking the time to address them. But I think when you look at it about participation, adoption, what do people know about Evmos? I don't see that as much as a problem as others do, because if you look at the past, since the launch of Evmos, if you look at any particular snapshot in time when, the post-launch problems, and then, the bridge problem, and the Nomad thing, and then, all the stuff that's happened, we've had chains since Evmos launched that launched in a fantastic way with no issues that are now dead and gone. Evmos is still making pretty good progress. We're still striving. We're still having cool stuff being built on it. We're coming out with the 2.0, coming out with some major changes. I think that there's still a lot going on here. And if you take a step back and stop looking at the macro of just Evmos and you look at the broader market, all things being equal, it's not as alarmingly bad as people make it out to be.
No, you don't get the point. I'm not saying this is alarmist to the point. I'm just saying that's my job, to see this as a general frame and how does Evmos fit into all of it. And like I said, you might agree or disagree with that. I'm just bringing a point of view to the table and nothing more than that. So in the alarmist type of stuff, which I don't think is the appropriate word here, is just to say, well, this was definitely a market fit project. There were demands for this, and there's definitely an area for Evmos to thrive. The thing is that, well, in every project, there is a significant a portion for luck. And I definitely agree with you on that, well, Evmos definitely didn't have that luck factor coming along with it. It has problems to solve and stuff like that. But it's also understanding that, well, of course, out of the best projects out there, some may fail just because of bad luck. And that's also part of the game. Not everyone can succeed. It's still time, I think, for Evmos, but the pressure is really, really coming from every angle. And the timing couldn't be as bad as it is because there are other chains that are going to launch and it was going to offer similar services. So what I would tell as a quick advice like that is to say the number one problem for Evmos isn't the tokenomics. It's something to fix because it should have been fixed a long time ago. And I've warned you about that, remember, 6 months ago or some sort, that the tokenomics weren't aligned with due to the pretty bad distribution and needed to be re-updated. That eventually considering another airdrop to redistribute or something like that. But I mean, there wasn't fit between the existing supply distribution and the tokenomics, and one of the two had to be reshaped. So that was one thing. Then the other problem was the management problem, which is still fucking there. There's someone needs to be fired at the fucking foundation. I don't know who the hell that is, but someone needs to go. And I still stand on this. Once again, things still keep proving me right on that front. Eventually in the future, we'll know who that person was. And then there's another final thing that needs to be changed is to figure out one thing to do for Evmos instead of 10, which is what exactly this this revamped stuff is all about. Just to say, okay, we're going to do this and that and that and that. No, it has to be one thing and do it perfectly. Strike one thing instead of trying to do 10 things. And to me, that's always going to be the same advice. Evmos is failing not because of one factor, be it luck, bad luck, is because I think there is pretty poor management from the core team. And that's really a hell of a problem that needs to be solved. But that's something that can be solved. Tokenomics can be solved as well. And I think this one will be addressed correctly. The last one, therefore, is we need someone that has a clear vision, not a split vision on doing this and that in order to eventually in the future achieve this. But the thing is that we need to do one thing that others can't. All right. Like spinning up EVM chains and being a security hub for EVM chains. Yeah, sorry, it isn't going to work. Others already are on the verge of doing it and they don't have the inner problems Evmos have. So this is a waste of time. Someone else is going to do it. Remember the app chain thesis, do one thing and do it better than anyone else. And that's how you strike the difference. Otherwise, this is open source code. Anybody can take it and do it with it. You're going to try licensing this stuff. Good luck winning and with it. Because that's really how it's going to be. Cheaters always goes first, and then you're going to have to sue them. It's going to cost a shitload of money. And anyway, it's not going to work. So this licensing stuff, yeah, it's pretty much too late. I mean, Kava's already gone away with it, and you're not probably going to catch up. So once again, a lot of energy is spent into things that probably will be pointless once again. So I think it's appropriate time now to sit around the table and try to figure out that one thing that Evmos could do that no other can do now or will be able to do in the next 6 months. Focus on this thing, deliver, and then the chain will live. It's really not that complicated to me.
Let me interject, Phil. I think for the sake of time, we are like 15 minutes over, so I do want to wrap it up. But I just want to mention that you bring up a lot of great points and a lot of great criticisms, and like this insight is definitely needed. The good news is I think the Evmos team understands the major issues of the tokenomics, which are addressing, and also major issues of maybe previous poor management or lack of management. So I think rebuilding trust to the community is something they understand and are working to build towards. So personally, I think the team is aware of a lot of these issues and are working towards improving them. So yes, a lot of misfortune has happened in the past, the many issues that Evmos has seen, but I think the direction that it's heading is in a way that addresses a lot of these things going forward. So I think super excited to learn more about Evmos 2.0 and the tokenomics, and definitely interested in the community discussions around them and being involved in them. So I think we should end this discussion here and continue it once those discussions start. So um, once again, thanks everybody for joining the governance council meeting. Phil for popping in and offering your thoughts, and Steer from Steer Protocol to introduce themselves, and we'll be hearing more from them in the future. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.